Okay, I'd like to call the Fire District Board meeting of July 17th to order. Could you join me in the pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Aldrich.
Here.
Beckman.
Here.
Fox.
Here.
Ruthven.
Here.
Phelps.
Here.
Pullen.
Here.
And North.
Here. We have everyone here tonight. Please turn off your cell phones, and please do not text during the meeting because it's against the Open Meetings Act. I think we have an addition to the agenda this evening. It's my understanding that the Fire Board was sent an appeal from Liam Martin.
Laboring, yes, this is true.
Okay. An attorney for Scott Vanderlip for a mutual aid cost recovery in Ganges Township. This is a bit complicated as not in our jurisdiction, and the board or our attorneys have had no prior notice for review. I would recommend that we add this to the agenda as item A and move the others down under new business. To meet the 21-day response requirement to this kind of an appeal. When it comes on the agenda, I would like to take a motion to table for review at the August meeting, as we've had no prior notice. This came in after the agenda for this meeting.
Yes, respectfully, that is true. However, the ordinance does dictate that the notice has to be made within 7 days of the first initial meeting. That initial meeting took place on July 10th, and then with Greg Janik here, Chief Janik, and then Mr. Vanderlip had to retain counsel. So although I am in agreeance and willing to adjourn to August's meeting, I just wanted to give a reasonable explanation as to why this might not have made its way onto the board's agenda for today.
The agenda had already been published when we got the
Correct.
notification.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other agenda changes?
I have a question on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Does that rightly come before the entire board, or?
I'm not sure, and I haven't had a chance to speak with our attorney yet. I don't know if it is the Fire Board of Appeals,
Right.
which would be 3 of us, or
So that was things been handled before, it's to the appeals board.
and we don't have a representative from Douglas on that board right now, so we would have to appoint somebody to that board from Douglas. Probably you, Kathy, because you're the representative, or possibly you could refer back to Aaron if he's willing to do this, because he never really resigned from the Board of Appeals, he just resigned from the Fire Board. So,
Well, let's just appoint him.
so we could do it either way, and Aaron was the chair of that committee. So maybe we should discuss that further down.
If you want.
Yeah, I think it would be good if Aaron did it, yeah.
He was very good at it, too.
Oh, heck, okay, with no other changes, could we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the change on new business A.
Okay,
Second.
all right, yeah. We have a motion by Phelps and a second by Fox. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on. Could we have approval of the minutes, please, of the June
I'll make a
19th?
motion to approve the minutes of June 19th, 2023.
Is there a second? Okay, I have a motion by Pullen and support by Chris, by Aldrich, I believe. Why do I do this? By Aldrich, I think.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
She's always nutritious.
Okay, public comment on agenda items only, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment? Okay, moving on. Could we have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills of $156,305.41.
I'll second that.
A motion by Felton, second by Pullen to pay the bills. Is there any discussion or questions about the bill?
What's with the lawn service company? The GMS you're using up there?
GMS does a quarterly treatment for the fertilization and weeds. They're basically on a quarterly basis.
Okay. Do we have a roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Beckman?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Terpink?
Yes.
And Jordan?
Yes.
Okay, 7-0, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Moving on, do we have a financial report, Peter?
Okay, so the revenue expenditure report that's in your packet is basically through last fiscal year, June 30th. We've got all the payrolls in. I believe there might be a few small bills out there, but I think we have all the bills accounted for that were before June 30th. With page 8B or items. So overall, at the top of the revenue, everything's been collected. $1,827,625 was the revenue that was collected for the fiscal year ending for June 30th, 2023. You can see all the expenses. Overall, we spent $2,059,176. So we got into our fund balance by $231,551, and basically we paid off. If you look right up to about the middle of that second page, at $419,000, that was the payment we paid cash for the new engine tanker truck that's out sitting down in the bay. So that's why we got into our fund balance. So if you pull that $400,000 out of there, we'd have had a surplus of $200,000. We really originally budgeted to get into the fund balance by $417,000, so we only got into it by $230.
It's better.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody has any line item question. I mean, there might be a few more bills coming in, and the auditors will be here sometime in September. They'll go through some things, and I mean, there might be a few things they want to take, should go here, or should go there. So I don't know of any other bills that are still left out there. There might be a couple utility bills.
The turnout gear, depending on whether.
Yeah, the turnout gear, and that, who knows when that's gonna get here, or what date we're gonna have on it, so. And probably because we don't have possession of it, we don't have possession of it by now.
No, it hasn't even been
So
made
it's
yet.
gonna get pushed into this fiscal year, so we'll have to make a budget adjustment for that at some point, so. We'll go from there.
Okay. Anybody, any questions? I think we're keeping our spending under control, so that seems to be good. And we have no fire trucks, so. Moving on, we'll have the fire chief comment.
Okay, thank you, Board. Wanted to share with you that we were up about 5.3% on calls for the month of June. We kind of get 3 to 5% every month, so it's going up. Response times have improved, dropped down to 5:14. They're going to fluctuate, especially now with all the tourist traffic and the construction that's going on. Notable would be MVIs, motor vehicle incidents, were up about 28%, pretty significant. Everything else is pretty much as you would expect on a monthly basis. So if no questions on that, I'll move on. Community reduction line item, monthly report. We have that in your packet. Notable would be the plan review hours at 32 hours and then short-term rentals. Those are two of your most demanding job responsibilities that the Bureau of Fire Prevention would have. And then Michigan Fire Inspector Society, good news is monthly fatals are down 11%. We always like to see that. Increase in fires, very low increase, but deaths have decreased 11%, so we're thankful for that. Also, all R1, that would be like a hotel, 30 days type transient. All those are completed, kind of a bigger task in our area. So AEDs, one of the things that Sagatuck Fire is notable for is, I asked Chris to compile a list of AEDs that we have distributed, and we're at 40 to the businesses throughout the area. We use our purchasing power to get them for the women's club, for the schools, the police departments, and Sagatuck alone is 23 of them. So one of the more noteworthy, impactful gestures that our fire district does with the purchasing power. Douglas, I think, you just spent a whole lot of money on AEDs and cabinets.
So the jurisdictions pay it back to the district, or how does it work?
Yeah, we order them, use it, and then they reimburse us. Like one just came in for the yacht club, and a check just came in from the women's club, or the old schoolhouse.
And so they're getting the deal because we're buying it.
Right. So we pass that savings on.
What about the battery upkeep on those?
Yeah, that's something where, you know, the operator would be responsible for looking at, and, you know,
Kind of important.
3 to 5 years, you're replacing batteries, so it's a cost. So are the pads. Pads are
Yeah.
2 years expiration. So there's a commitment to keep them up.
Aren't you required to check them monthly, or?
Yeah, a lot of them, like we do with the yacht club, we actually have cards, we do it weekly. You know, you're looking for the little proverbial wrench, little red wrench in there. Oh, something's wrong. Sometimes the battery contact fails. So, but it's amazing when you have peds pads and you have adult pads, people don't realize they have to be replaced, they dry out. And peds pads are over $100. There's an expense. There's no substitute.
Do we know how many times, if ever, they've been used?
Ours we do.
I mean, the ones that are out there, we don't.
I have not heard, yeah. Usually we would hear. Douglas Police, the sheriff, they get put on sometimes because of road patrols. They'll get there before us. They have pretty good implementation rate. That answer?
Yes, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Next up, Wendy, our instructor, has taught 3 more people, community members. Actually, it was a family CPR class. They are now certified. Grants, we received the award for the dash cams, $5,500 and change. So we're always glad to see that, to replace dash cams. Certifications. Evan, Claire, and Marcy all completed 6.5 months of Fire Academy unpaid. It's over 290 hours. Our Fire Academy has a longer hour length of term than most do. And you have the elite instructor right back there, Assistant Chief Mike Betts. So 22 graduates Saturday. I was fortunate enough to be appointed the keynote speaker. So 22 graduates in Allen County. 3 of them are ours.
290 per person?
290 for, yeah, each person does 290 hours. EMS is above and beyond that. Next up, the 4th of July was very demanding day. We brought in the drone crew and we reached out to Hamilton Fire. We had to do some rooftop surveillance and some intersection documentation, And then fireworks standby, we did not have staffing to handle Kaufman Park, so we had to bring in Hamilton back for that. And that concludes my chief comments.
We have unfinished business, Michigan Public Safety Drone Association update.
Shared this with you, Chris has had some photos up there ahead of time. This is the class, this is the first of its kind. We had people in it enrolled as well. So we had Alton County, Kent County Sheriffs, Cascade, Plainfield, a number of departments. The whole goal was networking and sharing what works, what doesn't work. Tremendous experience. They did water evolutions. So the morning was lecture, the afternoon was out at Schultz Park. So thanks to Douglas for allowing us to conduct the training during that. So there's 4 quadrants in Michigan. We're this western region. So we were the host. And those photos you see are at Schultz Park.
Did you demonstrations with the drones?
Yes, matter of fact, they had to do training in the parking lot, different identification, and they actually had to find, for example, a swimmer on a kayak. The drone had to find it and then guide the fireboat to the location. There were 2 or 3 evolutions for that. So each fire department had to take a turn at different stations. They would fly up at a certain elevation, and they had little 1-gallon buckets. They had to read the number or the alphabet within that bucket and then circle around it. So it's pretty intensive. So that's a dexterity training issue, learning that. Some larger, elaborate tournaments.
Somebody crashed one?
No.
Do all those departments have their own drones, or?
Yeah, and for one of the departments, they say we've been mainly our dispatch. Right after that, we had a dispatch for missing children.
Good.
That's usually what it's for, missing children. And they were found, but one of the departments has done 144 drone calls. They have a lot of staffing. The drone goes out on a battalion chief's truck. So right here we have to get a drone team from 3 departments to staff that.
Okay, moving on to new business, we can talk about the Scott Vanderlip appeal.
My turn? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Good afternoon, esteemed members of the board. My name is Lee Marine. I represent Scott Vanderlip. Obviously, it seems like we're going to, it's my understanding that we're going to adjourn for next fire board meeting. If I may, just give a brief overview to inform you guys of what transpired. So, obviously, there was a response to a tire fire at Scott Vanderlip's property on 64th Street in Ganges Township. I don't know the exact number, but somewhere around half a dozen municipalities responded to the fire, including Saugatuck Township Fire. And that fire lasted somewhere around 3 to 4 hours and obviously was extinguished. It was deemed to be arson. However, the arson and the individual, we believe we have identified the responsible party. It is not Scott Vanderlip. He was in talks with Eagle and was in the process of securing funding to have those tires removed environmentally responsibly, and was just a couple months out from completing that process. Now, this is all to get to the point of we ultimately are challenging the accessible cost that was sent to Mr. Vanderlip, and we would like to ask that this board or the applicable authority please review that accessible cost and reassess it to somewhere within reason. We believe that he was overbilled. Just to make a point of comparison, the Saugatuck Township's assessment is 6.5 times greater than that of Ganges Fire's assessable cost. so what they deem to be reasonable. So, just keep that in mind, and again, I know, this is to be tabled for another day, but I appreciate that the board giving us this opportunity to hear it today. And, I will continue to work with the board, Chief Janik, and Mr. Mantle to figure out what the appropriate avenue to continue this appeal is.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a motion to table this.
I'd like to,
I'd like to know more about
I'd
it.
like to push it to the Board of Appeals, because it really doesn't, we can't get into this.
No.
The full board can't get into this kind of,
I think it's in the ordinance as the fire board though.
say it again?
It's in the
It's the
ordinance
fire
as the
board.
fire board.
It's the fire board.
Well, I think we all need to read the ordinance, we ought to...
But, yeah, I think it's completely inappropriate. You have to be briefed on this because there's some things clearly taken out of context here that you need to hear both sides of the story and be briefed on this. As we've done for 11 years, we've handled this. The cost recovery team determined this was a billable item. And what made it different was it was in a different jurisdiction. So we also had a lot of people there. That's why it's more money, and you have more full-time people. So I don't want to get into details. I think it's inappropriate, but there are two sides of the story, and I'd be happy to bring this to the fire board, or if you choose, the Board of Appeals, either one. Whatever you direct me to do, I'm happy to do that.
I'd like to go to the Board of Appeals.
Yeah, I think it's appealing things, I think, to go to the Board of Appeals. Do we need to make a
Well,
motion on that?
It says right here that the subject is a written request to appeal before the fire board. It didn't say Board of Appeals.
Well, but that doesn't qualify as, that's a request in a letter, that doesn't qualify as a motion or I mean, that's our call. Where the, and I sort of take that as the purpose of that letter. Essentially, how do we go about appealing this? And I think that's, rather than a mandate that this board be the one that adjudicates it or whatever. And I say not because I got it one way or another on this deal, but these can come up, and that was the idea with the Board of Appeals.
Well, I
It's
think
focused, it's tight, there's only 3 members, blah, blah, blah.
I think as the fire board, we need to say, you need to bring this up with the Board of Appeals.
Mm-hmm.
The proper channel is going to the Board of Appeals.
Well,
Let them report back to us.
And we certainly will look at both sides
Yep.
of the story. That wasn't
Yeah, that's...
anybody's intention. We
No.
we just want to understand what's going on, and I think we have the right to ask
Yeah.
that. If we have to
If it's
adjudicate
this
on
board, I
it,
need to
so...
know a lot more.
So,
let me ask, I mean, we're in their position. Does the Board of Appeals meet on a scheduled timetable, or might they be able to meet in advance
oh yeah,
so that we could conceivably be passing judgment on the Board of Appeals ruling at our
Right.
next fire board
Mhm.
meeting,
yeah,
rather than dropping 2 more out or something?
right. That's correct. The Board of Appeals could meet and gather all the information and make a recommendation to the fire board, and then the fire board can act on this. I don't know enough about anything to make a recommendation at this point, and would like to hear much more about what's going on. So, I guess it's your call, whichever way you want to make this.
Do we have to have a motion to do this, to give it to?
I would think
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
smart.
yes.
Yeah, that's what I asked.
I'd make that motion.
Okay, make,
I'll
To
second
make,
forward this matter to the Fire District Board of Appeals for review and ultimately review and
and recommendation.
ultimately recommendation back to this board on outcome.
Yeah, I'll second that. Should we roll call?
Yes, I'd like a roll call vote.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we have a motion by Fox and a second by Pullen could you read the motion, please, Chris?
Motion by Fox, second by Pullen, to forward this matter on to the IFC Board of Appeals for review and recommendation back to the Fire Board.
And hopefully accomplish this by the August meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a roll call, vote, please.
Yep. Fox.
Yes.
Pullen.
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Beckman.
Yes.
Verplank.
Yes.
Phelps.
Yes.
And Norton.
Yes.
That's 7-0.
All right, now the second order of business is to figure out who's on the Board of Appeals. It's Eric and I, and we need a representative from Douglas.
Well, not to sound like we haven't been doing our job, we kind of got blindsided with Aaron left,
Yes,
so we had to fill that position, and Kathy filled it well as a board member.
right.
But in the background, we didn't think about the review.
Right.
So, do we go back to Aaron and ask him if he wants to be part of the, or does he need to be part of this board to be on the review?
That's what I'm
I
wondering.
don't think he does.
Resign from this board, that would,
Yeah.
resign from the other board
Be
automatically.
the extra one, or?
I don't know what,
But I think the whole point of
If you have
him
one
is
from each
because
one.
each jurisdiction had one.
so maybe Kathy should be the representative. I think so, Douglas.
You don't have a lot of meetings to go to, do you?
Just don't cut into our tea times, it'll be
Yeah.
okay.
We could host it on the 9th green.
Well, on the fifth, well, my deck there, so.
That's fine.
All right, so we'll let Kathy be the third member of the board.
We should officially appoint her.
Appoint her, yes. So somebody should make a
I'll make a motion to
Oh.
appoint Kathy to the review board.
Second.
All right, motion by Phelps, second by Fox to put Kathy
It's the
on
appeal board. that we're
the
doing.
appeal board.
Appeal board, yeah.
Do you have that, Chris? Could you
Yes.
read back what you had?
Motion by Phelps, second by Fox, to appoint Kathy North to serve as the Douglas rep to the IFC Board of Appeals.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Lucky you.
One more
Welcome
thing
to the
for
fire
you,
board.
Ken.
Would have been an empty gesture to oppose.
I know it.
All right. Okay, so we're all set?
But do we have to get together and elect a chairman?
Yes, we
Of
do.
our own
Mhm.
appeal board?
Yes. We'll set up, I'll make sure we set up.
And
a
that's all
meeting.
we'll do at that point,
Right.
unless,
Well,
or do
we
we
can-
ask to submit, do we ask for them to submit their information to
Yeah.
us and,
Yeah,
and
we
Craig
need
and all
information
sides?
from both sides.
yes.
And we'll have a meeting in, approximately 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So we need your information, we need Craig's information, and then we need to elect a chair at that meeting.
We can let them know when that meeting is. so
Yes,
you
and we
can
will
submit
surely
that.
let you know.
I had a question. Okay, when Board of Appeals is done, they're bringing it, sending it back to us, correct?
And we have to act on it. The whole
Right.
fire board has to act.
Okay, well, maybe I can get with you, Chief, I need more information, and I don't, have no idea
We'll
what's
get-
going on with this.
Well, we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't
Once
worry.
we collect it,
All right, okay.
You
We'll
you can
present
run
it
your,
before the
you know,
meeting.
what, their side of it, and then
Yeah,
present our side of it.
yeah,
I'll get
that's
it
what I
all
want
to
to
us.
hear.
And you probably should attend that meeting. That meeting will be posted.
Oh,
and-
all right, sure, of course I will,
And
yeah.
everybody should attend, because you've got to make a decision, and it would be good if you had all the facts. Okay, any more discussion on this?
None for me. I'm pleased and I appreciate the board's efforts here in hearing us, and thank you very much.
Okay, and thank you for coming.
Of course.
You don't have to listen to the rest of this.
It's interesting, 4 years of law school, you've been through it all.
All right, okay, your choice. Okay, the MMRMA net asset distribution has been received.
Yes. There's a state pool one that came in today, it came in after the board meeting, I'll announce it next month if that's okay with the board.
Sure.
I said to Eric, I was impressed with the $4,256 until I read that the total they had to distribute was $29,700,000.
Well, yeah, there's nothing.
Somebody scored big.
I was actually disappointed. Between the state pool fund and this one, you know,
Still not throughout the whole state.
first $50,000 is a state pool.
So you're saying that we got more?
Right, right, which I thought would, you'd want to do it for the next month, that's okay.
Okay, yeah, that's
All
fine,
right.
yeah.
So you got more than this. Good.
All right, glad to hear it.
More is better.
More's always good. All right, so now we come to the election of fire board officers.
If everyone is willing to keep their same positions, I would make a motion to keep the same positions. Of all of them.
Well, that wraps it up in a nutshell. You
Yeah.
still want to be secretary?
I have one of those positions, so I don't think I should, I mean.
Well,
Well, I think what she's asking, are you willing to
Oh,
do
yeah.
it?
Oh, I just made the motion
Yeah.
that you're going to do it. That's what I wanted to know if you didn't want to do it.
Well, if we didn't want to do it, we'd oppose it.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Pullen and a second by Phelps to stay the way we are. All those in favor?
You want, for the record, you might want to.
Yeah, maybe we should do a roll.
I'm not even sure I know.
Oh, all
I can
right,
read it.
well,
I had to ask
that
who
means,
was
on it?
Yeah, I'm not sure who the
Yeah,
vice
can you explain
secretary-
who was on it for Kathy?
okay, so I'm chair, Eric is the vice chair, Dan is the secretary, and Scott is the vice secretary. Because we ran into a little Florida problem at one point, and we didn't have a secretary.
And we don't have a treasurer.
And we don't need a treasurer. No. We have
Yeah,
Peter.
Peter.
We have Peter.
Okay. All set? Roll call vote, please.
Sure. So the motion by Pullen, second by Phelps to reappoint the following officers was Jane as chair, Eric as vice chair, Dan as secretary, and Scott as vice secretary. Pullen.
Oh, yes. I thought you were still going to talk or something. Sorry.
Phelps.
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Beckman.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Verplank.
Yes.
And North.
Yes. All right, we have no correspondence. Do we have any public comment out there? No public comment? Okay, we can do fire board comment. Stacy, got anything?
I don't think I do.
You've been on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't been around much.
Okay, Eric.
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of chatter on social media about Blue Star Highway safety, and it's legitimate, and everyone's complaining why can't anything get done. There's a couple things that I think we can suggest that gets done, and part of it has to go, maybe I should have went to the township meeting. Some of the trees and bushes should be cut back, even in front of the township office. Comes around a curve, there's tree branches hanging low. All the corners, I think North Street corner looks pretty good. The next one, Allegan, is better. But there's also 2 telephone poles on the right, and one of those telephone poles is holding up a street light, where why couldn't we move that wire to the other pole and take the other pole out?
Those will be needed and moved out anyway next year.
Well, it's just, maybe they're just waiting to do that, but some of these little things I think would help. The other thing is, my wife and I were coming back from south on Tuesday in that storm that hit. And thank God I've lived here for a long time, because I could not see the lines on Blue Star Road. And my wife said that in the past, even when it's not raining. What has to be done to get the fog line and those lines painted with some decent reflective paint?
It's up to the county on that one.
Road commission.
Exactly, but that's a simple thing to fix. And it should be done every year. And I don't think it's been done, maybe they'll tell you they have, but I don't remember it being done at all. And then I'll go back to the debacle in Douglas and on the record. You can't see the curb when it's raining and it's coming down. Hopefully they address that in the future. I know this whole area complains about that boulevard, but going through there when it was raining sideways was not a treat, and thank God I've lived here long enough. So, just a few things. I also noticed there's bushes covering up stop signs on the corner by my house. Do we have anyone that rides around in the township that notices these things and gets a hold of the debt crew to take care of them?
I'll get on it.
I know you will.
I will, I mean it. Yeah.
I know you will, but I just think that, you hear a lot of chatter on social media, sorry, I
Yeah.
listen to some of it. Why don't they reduce the speed limit? Why don't they do this? And there's a lot of things we can't do. But I think there's a lot of little things that we can do to community risk reduction.
It's mitigation.
Along the lines of little things, the horrible accident at North Street and Blue Star, whenever that was. And, that's our standard route to get on Blue Star, particularly going south from home. And I mean, somehow that struck me deeply, because that morning I was walking the dog right behind them, and you can hear, all the squad, cars and fire equipment, whatever, and then found out from you and others what had happened there, and walked up and talked to one of your guys, short of the accident. But I thought, how in God's name can somebody blow through that stop sign? And they blew through it. I mean, they never touched the brake. They went through it and got hit by a truck with how many tons of whatever inside of it, and lights out for potentially 3 people.
People don't pay attention when they drive.
Well, the other thought I had, and this is hypothesis, but right next to that, and I mean dangerously close to being right next to that stop sign, is a warning sign for the trail. There's a person walking, and I don't even know what the graphic is. I've never seen it before, but it's right next to it. And they all, you talk to one of the things you hear from the people that put up the signs. Oh, we don't want sign pollution, because but that's the case where, that sign doesn't need to be right on top of exactly where the
Stop sign.
trail crossing is,
Oh,
which is right where the stop sign is.
Thinking what they saw was a trail crossing and not.
Or
a stop sign.
just,
That's a
the
possibility.
brain processes weirdly, and you see a warning sign kind of that you're gonna ignore anyway, and then boom, all of a sudden you're there.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, there
That's a possibility.
There's
probably
a lot of theories there, wasn't it, early in the morning,
Yeah, I
sun,
think,
and they were tourists, so they didn't think they had to stop.
And-
But maybe a blinking
But even this,
light.
or even there's a perfect case for you going uphill. So if you paint on North Street, stop ahead, chances are
Not if they use the same paint they're using out there now. You're not gonna see it.
Paint is the answer. Okay,
Well, that
so we
would
don't
be
paint
Saugatuck
anything, that's
City's
right.
road, wouldn't
Is
it?
that-
So
is
that,
that-
that's corner of Saugatuck City, so maybe you should bring that to your
The
board.
city's not,
Well, but
city
that,
stops it.
Well,
I thought that
not just the corner,
the
the
North
south half of
Street-
North Street is Saugatuck.
but that's
Yeah.
Saugatuck.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
I think maybe that's who you
Yeah,
should
they
talk
listen to me real well over there, so I'll bring that
Yeah.
to my list of appeals.
Well, there's another place where a
Well, at
blinking
least they got-
stop line light like they have on Allegan. I believe that does help.
Oh, I think
there
it
hasn't
helped
been
it
an
out.
accident there since they put that blinking stoplight in.
And
And I like when you
Not
ride
once.
down there, how fast you're going.
With all the traffic
Yeah, so
coming
do I.
down Old Allegan right now. There's
Doesn't matter.
Went home the other day, there's 24 cars lined up to get on the Blue Star.
Yes.
Yeah.
That-
This
Wow.
was kind of funny at
Oh
the
my
time, but when
God.
we were in North Dakota, that we came across a cop's car parked, like they were, radar, doing traffic. It was a mannequin in there.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
when
yeah, I
you're
heard-
coming up to
I
it, you
heard
would
that.
never know that,
Well, Douglas parks cars around with nobody in it.
Yeah,
On
and I think
7th
that's
Street.
kind of smart.
Well, I think we ought to have the guys that are out here park in front here.
They have quite a bit, haven't they?
Yeah.
I've seen them out there.
Yeah,
A lot.
we did, since we couldn't reduce the traffic, there was a request for Allegan County Sheriff's Office to have a presence here as kind of a speed notification, and that was effective. We've got a change of deputies now. You also have a deputy that has a more diverse area than before. So we don't see it near as often as we did before, and I think it's just something we have to revisit. And they would easily handle it.
Well, the other side of the coin that I hear is why don't they reduce the speed on Blue Star? And we've talked about that they have to do studies. Somehow Douglas got it done. But the other side is if you don't have anyone monitoring the speed on the road, it could be 120 miles an hour, it could be 20. It doesn't matter, there's no one here.
Did they do a study not too long ago and deemed that it should be 55?
No, there was a study about the traffic volume as prompted by AutoCamp project. Lisa Vandenbrink did a study, and we averaged 10,000 cars per day. That was always the number we used on Blue Star. We're 50% more now.
There's
The
16.
traffic study is done by MSP at the request of the road commission via you or township. And what they found is, odds are the speed limit would be increased as a result of the traffic study, so no one wanted to do it.
Oh.
My opinion, after 22 years here, is you're never going to resolve this unless you lower the speed limit. Just so you know, I was reviewing media releases Sunday morning, Eric and I, and that North Street, 134th, there's been 3 accidents since the death.
Since yeah.
3 since the death. Old Allegan Road in Blue Star is a main artery. They are lined up sometimes to the bridge.
I know that.
So I spoke with a trustee over the weekend and said, are you aware of this? Oh, kind of heard it. And I said, you've got a larger problem at Old Allegan and Blue Star. If Douglas can put up, thank God, stop signs at Center Street, which you're going to have, they need to do something
We're gonna
here.
do stop signs on Wiley and,
Correct.
and,
Correct.
Stoplight,
Oh,
don't you
good.
need stoplight there
Or
or
wait
get stop sign?
on Blue.
There'll be
Temporary.
stop signs at Wiley
There's
Road
one there.
for the construction that's
Oh,
going
good.
on. MDOT, we were in a meeting,
Oh,
and they flat out refused at the request of Richland Lombard to put up temporary traffic lights. What we're seeing along here, saw a 28% increase, and you've seen nothing yet. This is going to go. You have such an influx along Blue Star Highway, it's called prevention. What can we do? Whether it's flashing lights, what, we have 15th month, Eric? 15 months where we had no accidents at Old Allegan and Blue Star because of a flashing sign. Now you introduced another mix into it, right? You've got construction. So they're coming down Center Street, Wiley Street, right? And Old Allegan Road. So all that traffic has been rerouted to those two. That's why Douglas had to do something.
it's bad.
And we're kind of, it's tough because it's a township, it's a different road, who owns it here? Lowering the speed limit will certainly,
How does that work, Craig? Blue Star is a state highway, it's a county highway.
but there's a section of it in Douglas that was turned over, just like the bridge was turned over to Douglas, right, Jane? Douglas
Half of
and
it.
Sauger
Half
City
of it.
Yeah.
There's a sign, where the sign is, it's half.
turned over. So they relinquished control of that and maintenance of that. So that's how Douglas was able to do the trail and to put stop signs in.
Okay.
I mean, Richland Bombard and credit to the council, at least set foresight and say, we're gonna stop the traffic here. Because now the incidents are ramping up right at that intersection. Does that make sense? So you're seeing people can't get out, so they're taking chances. Well, when you're doing here, 50, 55, the precision kind of goes down the hill.
It's so crazy there too, you talk about the not having marking, the short amount of distance, if you're coming to turn, like I do, if I'm coming from the grocery store or whatever, to turn on Wiley, the other cars are turning into Isabel, there's only like
Yeah.
a
Oh,
short
yeah.
little thing where I've seen so many close calls.
Oh,
We were there the other day.
Near misses.
We're turning onto Wiley, coming north. And there's a truck in the turn lane that turned west on Wiley, pulling a boat trailer. All this traffic's going by, and all of a sudden he takes off and comes the other way. And then another car came in behind him, did the exact same thing. Turned right, go into the
Yeah, it doesn't
regular
help
lane.
having Ferry Street there too, so you can't tell if people are not.
No.
Right, but Eric's right, we've noticed some, overgrowth on things, and I think we need a concerted effort on I know that the road commission came to me and said they were gonna trim up 134th, that northeast corner over there. But I think it's time to kind of look at it, and, you know, I don't know if you're gonna get the debt crew by the end of the summer, but we can engage Havner. So, something could be done. I think evaluation is spot on.
Yeah, every person in Saugatuck that knows the back road in here doesn't use 41, they come up Old Alley.
Yeah, that's,
I've sat in that line a long time.
and people are taking chances
Oh,
going
yeah.
out and.
Yeah.
I don't mean this about me at all, but those of us that live
Yeah.
over there, try going up the hill on a no pass to go and respond.
Yeah.
When there's 24 cars in there, and then they're coming down the hill and there's nowhere to go. I'm like, what do I do? So, light sirens don't do
I
any
don't
good.
even try and turn left, I'll go north and go turn around at the old hotel and come back.
I always go north.
If there's room to get around me.
Yeah.
Sit right in the middle and try to turn left. So I guess that, I mean, I didn't want to bring up a whole study, but I think there's little things that we can do.
I'll
to make it
contact the
better.
road commission, these are easily handled.
But there's another issue in downtown Saugatuck. The Mexican restaurant has outdoor dining in the street, and they have tables with umbrellas. And those umbrellas often block the stop sign at that four-way stop. I almost ran it the other day, and I've lived here 45 years. But there, you can't see the stop sign for umbrellas. And I don't know if nobody's brought this up to the city, but they need to do something about those umbrellas, because there's gonna be hell of an accident
They need to get rid of those.
Can I comment on it?
Sure.
So, Wednesday night duty crew was eating dinner there at Scooters, and they witnessed this. The car went right through the intersection, and it was a lot of panic. They called me up and said, the guy said they never saw the stop sign
Yeah.
because it was obscured by the umbrellas. I called Manager Heisup, saying, boy, I wish you'd take a look at this and reevaluate them, get them to move it, do something, because people that aren't familiar with it, there's so much busyness going on there that they don't see the sign on the other side.
No.
And all of a sudden, they're through the intersection and it's too late. So he has been called. I actually sent out another email today about, we had a complaint about parking, about both sides of the street.
They
And
should
we have
do away
Venetian
with
coming up.
outdoor dining in the street altogether.
All together, man.
Mhm.
It was there-
COVID is
did
over.
its thing during COVID, and now it's not necessary.
No,
But
Well, it's frustrating when you see no one sitting in there and they're taking
Oh,
up
and they're
spots.
taking
I
up.
like
I
that.
mean-
Coppercraft.
Yeah, Christina, she uses hers.
Yeah.
I don't even have a problem with that, but the one across the street, the
but very,
Baldi's,
very few.
Oh, yeah.
oh my God.
That one's always empty.
Yeah.
Very few of them have
Everything.
barricades of a character that would stop
None
No,
of
a
them.
no.
20-mile-an-hour
They have to
vehicle.
pay for
I mean, it's
the-
just
Yeah, I think
that far away from taking out 3 families.
Yeah.
it's not a great practice. We already had somebody drive into Wally's just going in forward rather than reverse.
None
They
of
did-
them
say
are
that
safe.
again?
Well, they did that before they had the barricades.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Wally.
The Wally?
Wally did.
Into the pop-up, this is called the pop-up. I should have been more
Oh, this is the
specific.
I
one
know.
on the street, the new pop-up in the street, okay, gotcha.
Okay, Scott, you have anything
No, we've discussed enough.
else? True?
No, I'm very pleased with where things are going
You're
here.
in touch with Tiffany?
Oh,
Go ahead, Ted.
wait, I got to call on Dan Fox, because he's
He might say something.
very upset with
No, I'm not upset. I just didn't, I wrote something down, I wanted to see if, given that we're on the verge of Venetian night,
Oh.
if there are, within reason, if you can talk about whether the district has, and I partly prompted because I happened to walk through the Saugatuck DPW yard, and the trailer with the barricades is still there, full. So I'm wondering if, I don't know, they won't tell us, but it'd be nice if they're gonna use those barriers around Coughlin Park, for example, where there's gonna be God knows how many people on Friday or
I bet
Saturday.
Kathy North can answer that question.
I don't know that answer. I don't know if they're planning on care, I mean,
But the real purpose was
Well,
to ask
this side-
whether the district
If they're Douglas.
has been tapped
Right.
for
Douglas.
whatever.
No, so
They use them.
those barricades were ordered for
Oh,
Fourth
yeah, I
of
know
July
that.
for the
Yeah.
parade.
Step and look at it.
And the fifth wheel collapsed on that, so
Oh.
they were repairing that, that's why they're still there. They rented them just for that weekend. So there's no parade for Venetian weekend. And the way they're gonna handle Coughlin Park is the concrete.
Okay.
They've got about 25 concrete
Okay.
barriers that they position down there. And then the rest is going to be vehicles that are there. So, for example, the beer tent will have an engine there, and a first responder vehicle. Then it'll be surrounded by a perimeter of vehicles. And then there's no fireworks, so some things have changed, some dynamics have changed. Probably a larger concern is the boat parade.
well,
So
just
that was-
before I'm not so sure that it's gonna.
Okay.
I'm not even sure it's gonna happen, so.
But the Archer barricades were rented, and there was a failure with the trailer. I think that's why they're still there, I don't know.
You're
It'd
not,
be great if they stayed there.
you're not so sure what's gonna happen
The
yet.
Oh,
boat
great.
parade.
Oh,
Oh, at all?
There isn't gonna be one?
Pardon?
There isn't gonna be one?
Probably, may not be.
People aren't signing up to do it,
Huh?
so.
You can't see when you're out there, there's too many boats.
No.
You got lights on the boat.
It
you
wouldn't
can't
hurt.
see.
Fortunately, nobody's drunk out there,
Didn't
so.
do it.
Oh, there's none of that, no drinking out there.
Well, you can have the
Well,
most
this has nothing to do with Douglas,
precise
though.
GPS
We part of the
enhanced
No.
parade route, but it's all thrown out if somebody's anchored. And then the other problem is the parade route, they hand you a street map, Kathy's heard this. They hand you a street map and have with arrows, and they're taking you in 2.5 feet of water. So it becomes a problem, I mean, there's.
People can't read charts.
Right, well, we said we won't accept the parade route unless it's later on a chart. And
Unless
we,
it's something they
when we
push out
created
their
it
phone,
for
they
them.
aren't gonna use it.
oh my God.
Rotary
I'm gonna stay
probably
home
not
with a
wanna
blanket
re-up
over
for
my
this
head.
next year.
That's, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
After Fourth of July fiasco, the nation's not gonna be any better.
Oh, that was a fiasco. All right, anybody else, Kathy? Kathy, you got anything you want to say?
Well, we rode over you and backed up and rode over you again. Can you breathe?
Now, I have a hunch that we're gonna cancel the boat parade.
All right.
That's all.
That's too bad, because that's.
Yeah, that's a big part of
That's a
it.
big history.
Well, there's only 3 boats signed up, and one of them is mine, and I don't have the faintest idea what I'm gonna decorate it.
Now, there used to get 20, 30 boats out there, and
Yeah.
nobody wants to do it anymore.
That's too bad,
There's-
it's just too bad.
There's so many rumors out there, but I think basically, we'll do it after. Is this recorded? We'll do it
Yeah,
later.
good idea.
Okay. With that being said, and everybody with their 2 cents in,
Can I mention something before we close, under public comment, or?
sure.
Okay. On the screen, you're gonna see something that I believe is inevitable, future, as far as deployment of traffic incident management devices in a safe and sound manner. What you have behind there is an attenuator that's collapsible, that's rated for 70 miles per hour, and that truck would be full of cones and barrels. You can see on the side of the truck would be a position where a person would be deploying the cones and retrieving, demobilizing the cones. And we've talked about this for 3 years now, and it actually has gone to the top priority. More than an engine, more than a BLS ambulance, this is what we need. We had near misses again on the highway with the death that we had the other day on 3 of us almost getting run over, picking up cones by hand. And this mechanism, this vehicle, I believe, is going to be a solution. We just have to figure out how to pay for it.
Are there any used vehicles like that
There are used
out
ones.
there?
We just got, Chris had the assignment, Chris reached out, actually Chris thought about this. We had a trailer attenuators, the problem that are only rated for 62 miles per hour, and you need the appropriate vehicle. So Pintle Hook that sort of thing. To us, we're gonna have to do this so that it matches the arena we're putting it in.
What are the costs initially for new and used?
New right now, we're
Market.
probably looking at about 180,000 for a diesel rigged with that.
Do I understand correctly that what's shown as the high thing flips over and comes down and back?
They
Correct.
both do, don't they?
Shortens up the footprint, not all, this one folds down, it's articulated, it's hydraulically articulated, so it's a collapse zone. And what's different about this is, the way we demobilize a scene is, for example, let's take the highway incident where Grasscup had the unfortunate death. We probably backed up a half a mile to retrieve the cones and displace the barrels. To take a trailer that's 26 foot long and back that up takes a certain skill level. Many of us can do it, some of us can't. Furthermore, we're right on the line just scraping the barrels because we don't want the cars to go around us and run over our people. So a trailer is not going to be a great way to do this. You want a stake truck or a straight truck. That's what this is. That's why I brought it up. And you don't have people going around with dollies taking the cones out. They're in a truck that is going to provide a margin of protection rather than standing alone. This is why I bring it to your attention for consideration.
I got a couple
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
And I agree with you, backing up a 26-foot trailer, dual axle is easier than single, but you wouldn't want to do that for a quarter mile.
No.
If someone's sitting, they sit in that area, right, to pick up the
On the
cones?
sidewalk, yeah.
Does the thing that articulate down overlap and protect them?
Yeah.
They're within the confines of the side of the truck, so they're not actually sticking out
Okay,
at all.
they're inside
Yeah.
the, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, they're within
But
the
it-
profile of the wheelbase,
Okay,
okay? But that mechanism billows out.
yeah.
And what's the
So this
vertical piece of the mechanism,
So
where the
the-
scorpion logos are? What
The
is
step
that?
folds down and ends up being flat above the roadway. Both of those two
Both of them
pieces
go
fold
down.
down and end up behind the truck.
They're like
And
a
when they're
double.
behind the truck, they're side by side?
No, they're, yes.
They're stacked,
They're behind each other.
correct.
One here and one here.
Correct.
It's
So
like
that gives you the
a double,
speed. thing.
yeah. I've seen them on the
And
highway.
there's a trailer one, and you can get narrow board on it.
That's what it looks like, Dan, when it's deployed.
Okay,
The first one takes the brunt of it.
got it, got it.
Is this something that we could buy with, the other departments, like a drone that we do?
Well,
or-
yeah, I kinda knew that was gonna come up, and I've approached them on this, and knowing that, Grasscap's gotta buy 2 engines, that's 1.3 million. Hamilton just bought a truck, it doesn't look bleak, doesn't look great. I think you're gonna be on your
We
own
just bought
for
a
this.
truck.
Pardon me?
We just bought a truck.
bought a
Yeah,
truck.
right.
Is there any grant?
Been looking into that through like the National Highway Safety Administration and MDOT as well. But just trying to figure out, we've been waiting on a price first before we see where to apply.
Even local congressmen, at least getting it, if you got a grant application, getting a congressman to weigh in.
Yes.
These
One of the
are,
revenue streams you would think would be, who gets paid for it is MDOT.
right, and it's
So I approached MDOT and I said, what can you do? And he says, we use trailers because they have a lot of dump trucks. They don't demobilize backing up, they just go forward. And they've got, 6 to 10 ton dump trucks.
Is
So-
there, oh, I'm sorry.
When this thing is working like that, how does it work?
the
So
car
it-
hits where
it looks
those
like
stripes
Like a
are.
shock absorber.
On that picture there, the car would come from the left side and strike the back of where those stripes are.
And put the cones in there?
No.
No, that's gonna collapse.
Protect the back of the
It's
truck.
gonna
That
be like a
collapses.
shock absorber.
That's
You
the
gotta get a
sacrificial
video going.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
I'm sure there's a YouTube of it.
I haven't, because that was how I originally sent it to Chief.
If there's an event on the highway, that's typically where you want this, do we have mutual aid usually for those instances?
More and more, we had a death on, on M40 just the other day in Hamilton. and they engaged 2 departments. So as you know, we've got a long red 26-foot trailer that's kept in Grasco. What we found is, we've got to manage the scene, we have to have another mutual aid department handle the traffic incident management. In this case, they had a death investigation, which was about 5.5 to 6 hours, and they requested our MDOT trailer and our trailer that's kept at Grasco. So 2 other agencies went over and did a whole detour with the barrels, because they had been shut down in 40. So it works really great. Matter of fact, the chief asked to meet with me, Dave Aberdeen, to say it was brilliant. He said, just so you know, we can't use that 26-foot trailer in wintertime,
No.
which we knew. So,
A lot of things to think about.
yeah, I mean, I wish I could wave a wand and say, hey, here's how you pay for it. All I can tell you is, this is the need. We are on the highway much more than fires. This is where the risks are. I'd rather do 10 house fires than be in the highway.
The highway's terrible.
We almost, 3 of us, Mike was there. It was just a matter of,
Do you need like space to park this stuff if we get it, or do you have enough room? Or it could be outside or whatever.
it could be outside, but it would go inside.
Okay.
So, again, it's a tool. I don't see 2 other departments with their truck needs.
Has made it their mission to make work zones safer for all.
Just too bad we can't get hooked up with another
Standard and autonomous
company.
Or is it the Department of Transportation that we say, hey, we'll cover half.
Thank, that's a state.
State, federal, whoever, it's, you know, it's the federal highway.
Yeah.
Somewhere here, there's a pretty good video of the truck getting schmucked.
Yeah, if you could advance it, Chris, that would be great.
So if someone inadvertently enters that portion.
And that's someone that
Yeah, see, that's
flipped
okay.
over. That's not, there's people not paying attention.
What that is going to do is
Who
it's
does
going to
that?
pass through in front of the truck so they don't get hit. So this device, what most people don't realize is this device is not just there to protect the crew in front of it. This device is there to protect that driver who wasn't paying attention and crashed into it.
Be a part of it anyway.
So you get an idea what the intent is and what the device would do or the equipment would do. And, as your fire chief.
Do you know any other departments that have these, maybe around our area or whatever?
Howland Traffic Division has an attenuator, but they don't use it on the highway. They don't even use it. It's sitting there. Great for Blue Star. Great for other roadways. Not appropriate for highway.
Does Holland have any 196 or 96
Yes.
responsibility? They do.
Yes, they do. And they're usually out there with 1 truck and a couple of cones.
Yeah, they have that by the airport, right? Isn't that theirs?
Yeah, they've got a couple, 2 sections of it. So, didn't mean to.
Okay, it's
you
been
know,
fascinating,
just
but.
came in, yeah.
A little call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Okay, we moved by Phil, second by Norm.
All right.
We're out of here.
All in favor, we're out.